Last week, after Trump's inauguration, Washington, D.C. played host to a women's march attended by, well, a lot more people than attended the inauguration. Of course, this resulted in many comments of, why didn't they vote? Maybe if they put this much effort in beforehand, their side would have won the election. Which may be a fair comment, or maybe they did vote, and it didn't matter because, as we know, 3 million more people did vote for Hillary than voted for Trump, but the Electoral College system doesn't care about the popular vote. I'm not going to comment either way on whether that's good or not. All that matters is that it is, and it has been the system forever. And if you take Kennedy to Obama, Republicans and Democrats have been elected to office for an equal amount of time under that system. So, women marched because they're worried about things like Trump and his cronies wanting to take away the rights to safe abortions, which is a legit worry given the executive order he signed in his first week. And this march also upset Piers Morgan. You know him as Budget Simon Cowell, the other famous angry British talent show judge, who just so happens to have won The Apprentice and, surprise, surprise, is a Trump supporter. He took to Twitter during the rally to suggest that all women who were attending were rabid feminists and tweeted this: "Imagine if there were a load of men-only marches today. The feminists would go crackers." And, "I'm planning a men's march to protest at the creeping global emasculation of my gender by rabid feminists. Who's with me?" 48,000 people are with him. That's how many liked this tweet. Some have claimed that he was joking, as he then later posted this hilarious British witticism. Update: I'm cancelling my men's march against male gender emasculation. My wife's banned me from going. Nyuk nyuk. And though he made some decent points during his Twitter rant, commenting on the extremism of Madonna, who claims she's thought about bombing the White House, which by the way only Madonna could say without being brought in for questioning/tasering. The part that's laughable is the creeping global emasculation of my gender. This isn't a joke, this is what he thinks. This is what many men think. And to that I say, not very manly to be afraid of that if you ask me. We'll get to that, but first, the idea of men's rights is already kinda laughable. Come on, dudes, I'm not gonna be check your privilege guy. Not every male is getting dealt a great hand in life. Right at this very moment, there are thousands of homeless dudes simultaneously shitting in bushes all across North America. But overall, we're doing pretty good. For example, did you ever stop to think about why women are allowed to vote? Because men said it was okay. Not to take anything away from the women who pushed so hard for it, but the Senate in 1919, entirely composed of men, voted on the 19th Amendment. They could have just said no. What would women have done? Voted for different senators? Oh, right. Kind of fucked up when you think about it, right? And yes, I get that there are things that aren't overly equal for men. Most of them brought on by their fathers and their fathers' fathers. For example, men's rights activists are upset that in a divorce, women almost always get the child. Well, maybe if society hadn't decided that women are the ones who are supposed to take care of children for the last, several thousand years or so, maybe they wouldn't rule that way in most cases. And bitching about a march and then saying you want to have your own march? It's like your shitty little brother crying because he didn't get a present on your birthday. It'd be like going to a breast cancer fundraiser and yelling, "Yeah, but what about testicular cancer?" Sure, that needs awareness too. Maybe choose a better fucking time. But let's talk about classic masculinity for a moment. Feminists and other very PC people refer to this now as toxic masculinity. If you believe you uphold the traits of a truly masculine man, and you believe women are a threat to your manhood by going for a walk with some signs, as I said, you are not very manly. A classically masculine man would have no worries about this. They're just women. They're not as strong as men, not as decisive. They're just emotional beings blowing off steam about how things are not going their way. Not like a man who should be emotionless and fearless. So if you feel that women getting together to yell slogans at a building is emasculating, you already admit that you are emasculated, that you aren't manly. Hell, a men's march itself is emasculating, according to classic masculinity. Protesting? How beta could you possibly be? That's basically complaining. Men don't complain. They grit their teeth and they persevere through whatever challenges are thrown at them. So, if you believe you're a real man trying to preserve the rights of men, trying to have laws overturned that were made by men and enforced by men, you have to understand there's at least a little bit of irony to that. For example, did you know that men's rights activists are against military conscription? You know who made those laws, both in America when the draft was a thing, and in other countries where forced military service is still a thing? Men. And those men made it appealing by suggesting it's a man's duty to defend their country. People who dodged the draft in the US were considered cowards, not real men. So, I know that empathy isn't really a manly trait either, but you can at least have a little when you see that men make laws that decide how women should live, and why women feel it's a men versus women thing. And yes, there are radical feminists who say stupid shit. Just like there are the red pill popping bros of the men's movement that are cringy as fuck. And do you think I'm a traitor to my gender for saying these things? If so, you're also not a classically masculine man. Clearly. A true man has to protect their women. They're just dainty, fragile things that we need to defend so they can sire more heirs for us, after all. Which is why we wouldn't let them fight in wars in the first place. Oh, by the way, apparently men's rights groups also don't like these stereotypes that other men have forced upon them. Which means, I don't know how someone can be emasculated when they've already rejected the very idea of masculinity. But Piers, you should have your little men's march. You show the hairy armpit brigade how it's done, how you won't be treated like a second-class citizen by other men like yourself. We will overcome ourselves. And we won't be emasculated by these women who dare to ask men to be allowed to make their own decisions. You're a hero, Piers. Who knows where men would be without you? Oh god, maybe men would only make up like 95% of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Then what? 94%? It's just a slippery slope until we're all indentured servants to women. But thanks to real masculine men like Piers Morgan, we can all rest easy, guys. Thanks, Piers.